Welcome back to a further episode of Men's Inner Health with Mark Randall. This conversation is about flow states. Flow was introduced by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He wrote books on flow, and who popularised it, Susan Jackson, an Australian academic, and Stephen Kotler put it on the map with his book, The Rise of Superman. Flow state is an interesting state of being, and there are mainly four elite athletes, musicians, jazz musicians, the pocket, meditators, and duffers. They all get into their flow states all in different ways. Learning to get into flow is a really powerful place to be in. It's a great zone to get into. To quote, 3 things you need to know about flow. This is from the course I did on the Flow Research Collective. Flow is a peaceful, powerful, intrinsic motivation by releasing addictive neurochemicals in our body. When we're in flow, it's like a single point of concentration. Extreme sports people get into flow. Massive surf, the big wave surfers, rock climbers, all those extreme sports people. I believe through practice, we all experience flow states, and flow states are pretty amazing. In a simple term, how I like to define flow state is, those moments where, God, where did the day go? Or where did that hour go? When we experience or make those sort of statements, I believe we've experienced what's known as flow state. It's like we're in the zone. One of the ways I've learned to experience flow is through the practice of meditation. Also, not that I was a very good surfer, but when you're in the moment, our mind is on a single point of concentration. We can get into flow. Now we can train ourselves to have more access to this state of being. Meditation is one of them. I don't want to become an extreme athlete to get to that point. But with practice, if you bring awareness to moments in your day, where did the day go, or where did that hour go, or where did that moment go? Could you be in what's called a flow state? A definition of flow is a quote on flow. Flow state is experiencing flow and essentially performing at or near someone's mental peak. The world is melting away, and all that is left is the task at hand and excelling. Flow state's a pretty powerful place to be in. In my work here in therapy, it's incredible how sometimes the session goes for an hour, and it's like, where did that hour go? That's a state of flow. And through the Flow Research Collective, Stephen Kotler and Ariane Doris, we can learn how to experience more flow states. The optimum period of flow is roughly about 20 minutes. But how do we set the process up to enable ourselves to get into having the experience of more flow states? For musicians, jazz musicians, they called it the pocket. In meditation, they might call it Zen. In Dufduvas, when they're peeking out their crown chakras, that's another form of flow state, but it's a substantially altered form of flow state. And we do all experience these experiences of flow states, and they're very, very powerful. We can achieve a lot when we're in flow. And when we're achieving a lot in flow, that is so good for our self-esteem and our self-worth. We feel more productive, we are more productive, and the more productive we are, the better it is for our self-worth and our self-esteem. Flow states are really, really powerful, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's like when we're in flow, it's like the thinking mind, the 2 + 2 = 4 mind. It's like it's dissolved, it's like it's disappeared. Neuroscientists say that what meditation, the years and years of meditation from the Buddhist perspective, what it's teaching us is to have a single point of concentration, be it the breath or nothingness. Flow state has a similar role, and I'm not going to do it due diligence in this 10-minute conversation. But it's like, how do we learn to silence that thinking mind? And when we're in flow, we're in the zone. And the productivity, it just intensifies. When we go to work and you just can't be bothered, and then, I don't know, something shifts. Now how that shifts, the brain, we're deeply focused in. And the more focused in, it's like the rest of the world just dissolves, and we're just honed in on that single point of concentration. And when we're in that single point of concentration, the productivity and the efficiency with which we work and be is phenomenal. It's just incredible. Now, we can't always live in flow. We'll have peak moments of flow. But how do we learn to capture those moments? What did we do differently that facilitated that intuitive, automatic experience of flow? What was it? What did you do? Can you remember what you did? Was it something that you needed to let go of? How did you get yourself into that state? How do you practice coming back to that state? And from my perspective with meditation, the daily practice is coming back to breath, coming back to breath. The single point of concentration is breath. With elite sports people, their deliberate practice, the 10,000 hour rule, the deliberate practice, coming back into that practice. And because it's so well practiced, when they're on the 10-foot wave or 100-foot, whatever the case may be, I'm embellishing it. But that subconscious, there's the book, The Body Keeps Score. They're so well practiced that they get into the zone, and the body, that practice takes over. Learning to get into flow is a really, really powerful tool or experience to have in your toolkit to help become more productive, to have more positivity in our lives and our well-being, being in a state of flow. It is a powerful space to have. It's uplifting, it's vitalizing, it enriches the sense of self and the sense of purpose, and the output is just incredible. Learning, how do we get there? How do we drop into those states? I have no doubt in my mind we all experience these moments of the timeless moments. How do we sit back and reflect? What was I doing differently that facilitated my ability to experience that timeless moment? It doesn't have to be meditation. It doesn't have to be extreme sports. What were you doing? How much enjoyment did you have in that moment? You know, what happened to the moaning and groaning when you having to go to work or having to do this? Yeah, what happens to that energy? And that moaning and groaning energy, you know, how much is that wasted energy? You know, we've only got so much energy in our being per day. You know, how do we capture and harness and utilize that energy that we've got? You know, the more we're moaning and groaning, we're giving that negative part of ourselves the energy. When we learn to develop flow, moments of flow, how do we practice kicking back into that space? What do we need to let go of, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to facilitate that flow state? The more we experience flow states, what impact does that have on your self-worth? When you're deep in flow, how much love of your work do you have? How much love do you have of yourself in that flow? Check in next time that you experience a timeless moment in work, at home. What a beautiful gift. Yeah. We can't always hold on to it. You know, the thinking brain will kick back in, the 2 + 2 = 4 brain. It's okay. Practice. What a beautiful state of being to be able to facilitate each and every day. The productivity, that zone, powerful zone to be in. Finding the tools to enhance that, to repeat that each and every day is very, very powerful for our well-being and our mental health. Be gentle and enjoy.